Hey everyone, the Viking XCOM is finally here. It's called Norse Oath of Blood, and boy, have I been waiting a long time for this game to come out. Now that it's here, what is it like to play, and what do you actually do besides this, and a whole lot of this? Well, coming up, I'll be showcasing some of the gameplay and what you'll be doing in between missions. It's a lot of fun, and thanks to the studio for sponsoring this video, so let's get to it. So in case Viking XCOM doesn't ring any bells to you, let me help you out. Axe gon' give it to you, gon' give it to you, axe gon' give it to you, gon' give it to you. Norse Oath of Blood is this isometric turn-based tactical game set in Norway during the Viking Age. The game is split into two parts, which I'll be covering soon. First is the turn-based battles that are way harder than I expected. Then there is the time between missions where you'll be upgrading your heroes and turning this tiny village into a thriving settlement. Then between all of this, there's this revenge-driven story that's going on that comes with some occasional humor thrown in for good measure to keep things light-hearted. You take the role of Gunnar Gribson, yes, that's your name. Your dad, the Jarl, which is basically like a king, has been double-crossed by his ally, Steinar Farspear, and now you need to seek revenge and take down him and his entire army. The game is just oozing with Viking lore and quotes coming out, like think levels of Valheim and God of War, like it's everywhere. It's one of my favorite settings. The landscapes are just so majestic. It's cool seeing the different weapons and just how bloodthirsty everyone is. And you'll be taking your clan through this glorious landscape to take down Spears Brosnan once and for all. So that just means it'll be you, Gunnar, your sister, as well as a bunch of other friends that I won't try to pronounce as you go off on this campaign that's meant to last around over 20 hours, which isn't bad at all. Unless you're like me and you fail every single mission that you start because, damn, this game is hard. So let's jump into that combat, and how does it actually go? Well, like I said, it's turn-based, so like, you know, when your motor skills aren't what they used to be and chess doesn't have enough violence. To me, turn-based combat should be fluid and feel natural. It can feel very chess-like at times, but in Norse Oath of Blood, it's very fluid, it's very natural. Cover doesn't really play a big role, so you're constantly trying to create space or just get in close. Before starting, you can place down your fighters. I generally place my archer or my injured personnel right at the back so they're safe, but you can also get on top of structures, you can get around people, and if you've played any turn-based games before, you're going to feel right at home with this style of gameplay. Action points are used to move and complete actions like attacks and defensive tactics. Then on the right it has this momentum mechanic, so the more kills you get, the more chances you have of doing critical hits, which is great, and you always feel like you're doing so much damage when it comes in. Then comes the status effects, which there are just so many. I didn't even think I've seen some of these before. They go from the standard ones like being dazed, crippled, bleeding, and so on, and then you get some crazy ones like this love status effect. What is that all about? These status effects are going to be coming and going during the entire battle, so you need to plan every attack very carefully. And speaking of planning, you can't just go in blind and hope for the best. Trust me, I know. The game is hard. I've been playing it on normal and I've died so many times. It'll punish you if you don't utilize every single little trick that you know. Kick people into each other, use big attacks to hit a group of enemies, kill the right person at the right time, and for the love of Odin, use your throwing axes. My best is when you throw an axe at someone and it just knocks them into the fire. That never gets old. So yes, things in your environment can play a role, especially when you've got these spears just lying around that you can just throw at your enemy at any given moment. It is so much fun. Every now and then it also throws in these execution style finishes that look brutal and look cinematic. They are amazing. So much happens on the battlefield though, from more enemies coming in to facing giant boss characters that are just so hard to kill but are just so much fun to experience at the same time. I also like that there is a bit of exploration that you can do. Between missions, you can run between places, maybe find some berries to get some more health, maybe some extra resources for stuff you need back at home, or maybe some rare equipment or weapons that can be used later on. I feel like it breaks up the monotony of just going back and forth to your base and just makes the world feel a bit more alive. And when it comes to your ragtag group of Odin's finest fighters, they're not just meat shields, they actually got some stuff that sets them apart. For example, they come with a range of fighting styles that lack one or two vowels, like the Berserker, this chaotic melee fighter, or the Wrecker, who goes for multiple targets, and Bogmather, the ranged hunter. This progress is achieved at the end of each level or battle, where it'll first show you your rewards, so things you've picked up along the way, as well as new weapons and armor, but then it'll show you your progression in your characters and how much experience they've gotten. You know, the one where they stand side by side and they get a little bit stronger. Having multiple options in the skill tree just allows you to have a bit more flexibility as well. Like, instead of trying to save everyone, you can just go for pure damage dealing, which is always my favorite. And yes, your companions, or your herdmen as they're called here, can actually die. Well, kinda. If they are an important character and part of the story, well, it'll show as a defeat when they die and you just get to try again. But the non-hero companions, well, they will remain dead. Another very cool part though is fitting your group out with the best weapons and armor. Once you have the blacksmith up and running, as well as the seamstress, you can just go crazy unlocking new items when you discover them out in the wilderness. Like I always say, I love my turn-based strategy games that come with this level of customization, and boy does this have plenty of it. All of this combines to this group of fighters that get onto the battlefield that have all just been equipped and customized to your liking, and it just makes it feel so much more immersive, especially when they know what they're doing. And yes, in the game you're going to be doing a lot of whacking people on the head with axes all of the time, but you're also going to be building a life for yourself here. This is very similar to XCOM's mobile base, where here you'll be slowly upgrading your little settlement. Maybe you'll need a bigger house, maybe a fishing dock for food and supplies, maybe a blacksmith and that seamstress for making equipment, or maybe even a sauna to rest those tired muscles. Everything requires resources, manpower, and time to complete, which is usually 1 or 2, maybe 3 days. But when you run out of something like leather or bog iron, which I just gotta say, I'm guessing is just iron from the bog, yeah, you need to go out and collect some or buy some from the market. The point is, the more you progress in the story, the more buildings you'll need to construct to make your battles just a little bit easier. Your settlement, I think it's called Studrik, is going to be going from just a tiny little scout campfire that you just got to when you just first arrived on this island to this massive settlement, getting ready to take on the battles that come your way with ease. I'm still going through this game, and to me it fits like a glove in the type of turn-based strategy games and turn-based tactics games that I'm always looking for. Great action, great battles, but there's also a lot to do between those fights. Norse Oath of Blood is out now for PC, and I highly recommend it for anyone out there wanting to get in on some of that Viking turn-based action. But that wraps up this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and a big thanks to my channel members. You guys mean so much to me. But other than that, it's Marco here from Easily Distracted Games, and as always, don't stop gaming.